Good morning and good night. So for me, it's good morning. For you, it's almost good night. I'm uh, I'm always curious to know what happens during the day. How was your day?
It was great, actually. We've been building a couple new kind of prototypes, so it's been an exciting day.
Mm. I would like to give you the opportunity to say a little bit about yourself for everyone who is not aware, and then as I said earlier, we dive right into the time machine.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I'm Kaan. I'm one of the co-founders of and the CEO of Weave Robotics. And here at Weave, we're building personal robots for the home now, not 5, 10 years from now. Our robots will tidy up around your living room, fold your laundry, and give you time back from your day wherever they can. And we're basically focused on we're based in San Francisco, where we're building out our fleet, training our models, and we're focused on getting our first 30 of these robots shipped into actual customers' homes by the end of the year.
Shipping is the hardest part, right? Demos are nice, concepts are nice, but shipping is the hardest part because then you get the feedback of a customer and they can make it or break it. We dive into that a little bit later on, deeper. But as I said, I'm always interested in upbringing, education, siblings and parents, influences in your way of growing up and doing things. So take us with you, please.
Yeah, for sure. Well, based in San Francisco now, but I actually grew up in Istanbul, Turkey, and yeah, I was had a interesting childhood. I went to this super competitive high school, but I basically didn't take too much of an interest into anything other than physics and biology and the arts up until I was chatting with my physics teacher at the time, and she challenged me. She was like, "You can't build a Tesla coil," and in this like childish way, I kind of was like, "Well, I can," and so ended up toiling through this thing as like a high schooler trying to like figure out all the theory and all the parts and like how do you make this thing work. And looking back, it's not this like super unstructured, crazy hard problem, but at the time it made me realize that I really love working with like hard, unstructured problems and then without like a rule book, and basically see the fruits of your labor at the end of it. Another thing that happened was Apple was coming out with a lot of cool products at the time. iPhone happened then, iPod happened before then, and looking at it from the outside, I didn't have like a MacBook or anything, but I always was like watching from afar and like kind of thinking like, wow, these guys like they get it. And it kind of became clear to me like to build something that the US was the place to be. So applied to colleges here, got into Carnegie Mellon, and
Sorry,
it was a
what year are we talking about? Where are we now?
2012 is when I got into Carnegie Mellon. I think, yeah. And yeah, studied electrical and computer engineering there, and did a lot of undergraduate research, personal projects, robotics, and realized that I really loved getting my hands dirty across the stack from software to hardware, and that I just loved working on my own projects. And from there, I guess invisible string, I joined Apple, and had the privilege of working with a lot of great people there, and all across the stack, robotics, hardware, research, hard product and manufacturing. And it taught me a lot. And one of the things that I realized while I was there was, especially as I grew in Apple, I was operating as a bit of a founder to try to like push my own ideas and like what made sense as like a product through. through this like gigantic like company machinery, and that ended up always like getting me in trouble. But it worked, right? We shipped great things, but it felt like I was actually like wasting a lot of energy. And the other kind of realization that I got to, which made me really sad at the time, was that the next big product category wasn't going to come from Apple.
Is that through
And
internal realization, or is that because of you looking at the market, looking at things, and realizing, at the moment it's not us?
um, I think it's just a lot of things. It was like a feeling at the end of the day. But it was a feeling about where things were outside of the company and what I felt at the time too, and just where things were going. And
Which year is
so
that?
I think that it happened roughly, I think, a couple of years ago. And at this time, my best friend of 10 plus years, and now co-founder, Evan, we were living together, and he was also working at Apple. And we basically kind of came to the same conclusion that like, okay, it's now kind of we should chart our own path here and like work on things that we really matter and like really push it through without like wasting any energy.
We are now already at the stage where we're entering entrepreneurship, right? So if you don't mind and be so kind, if I have a few more questions around that earlier time. I mean, first you surprised me by the accent-free English. That is something that, I mean, young people tend to speak English much better, but you said you have been to a very competitive high school, and so is that background had any influence on the opportunity to go into the US, which is always very hard to get into, not only from the grades, but a financial perspective, and having the brain and having the thoughts of going abroad is because when you're in Istanbul, I mean this is an assumption, right? But Europe is there, right? I mean, you're part of Asia and Europe, and there's plenty of good opportunities in Europe as well. What was it that was so tempting that and gave you the opportunity to pursue this?
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple different things. I have a bit of an interesting kind of family. My dad was born in the U.S. I actually was born in the U.S. and we went to Turkey when I was like 2 or something, and so that definitely helps. And I think at the same time, like there's other members of my family that have been quite traveling all over the world, and there was this. It always felt to me like when I went to school that like the culturally we were a bit different. We were neither there nor here, and not to say I really enjoyed Istanbul, but it always felt like the things that I would think about were not the things that even my close friends in high school would think about. And yeah, I think that was partially because of just my upbringing and how, I don't want to say unrooted, but how different of a background my family had too.
And this is I mean I'm thankful for everything that you share here. This is what I'm always very interested in. So what is that makes you, because being, I mean, the name of the podcast is Building Deep Tech, and I'm talking to builders, I'm talking to founders a lot, and I'm really trying to understand what is that one single thing that out of 30 people, that one person thinks, this is not for me. I look at the menu and I don't like it. It's not big enough. So I want a menu that I can unfold, and there's like the buffet is much bigger, right? And I would like to choose from all of that. So what is it that and you gave a few of the answers, and I always trying to understand. Is it was it a person? Was it an event? Was it, for example, the a guest that I had before you? He said that his father was an entrepreneur, and it was very normal at the table in the evening talking about these kind of topics, right? Customers, clients, what happens with money, and politics, and here and I really trying to understand, right? When you have an engineer father, conversations might be different from what when you have artists as parents.
Yeah, I mean, I think both my parents were engineers. My mom
Mm,
was a engineer, my dad mechanical. Um, Family of engineers and architect, and I think my family was interesting in this way because they were extremely supportive. They helped who I helped me become who I am today, and uh, even today they're always there when I need them. But they never guided me in any direction. They always made it very clear that whatever I wanted to do was what they would be happy with. So they never told me like, you should do engineering, you should do this, you should do that. In fact, I was very frustrated when I was a kid, like, you should tell me something, right? Like, I need some guidance. I'm like 12 years old. But I think that was a great thing looking back because it really forced me to like kind of figure out in this like very hard way, like what is the right thing for me to do. That is not just playing StarCraft. So I think that was quite helpful because it gets you thinking about what you enjoy thinking about, which is a big part of being a founder because there's, you know, when you truly engross yourself in the company that you're building, every waking moment, there's stuff to think about. And the more you can like hone that in and the more you can kind of treat that as like a strength, if anything, like you enjoy thinking about this thing and like trying to find a solution and like putting that to like practice ASAP, the more your company actually benefits from that. So I would say that that was like fairly formative. And yeah, I mean, I think like having engineer parents, like especially my dad, we we love talking about like and trying to figure out like how things work. And as a kid too, I remember like we would chat about like, oh, like if we were to build this thing that doesn't exist, I would love to, for example, talk about like how would we harvest like heat and turn it into electricity, right? Like because it always seemed like crazy to me as a kid, like why can't we just do this thing? It would just turn electricity anywhere. We would have energy, and then we would kind of ideate on these things. And I think that was really helpful as a kid to have like a very curious engineer like yourself, except they have like years in their belt to be able to like talk through with you on this like exploration and like how you would go about like solving this thing, this crazy thing, which is like harvesting energy from heat.
I love this. I really truly love this. I mean, the words that you said is exploration and curiosity and not so much guidance, but support. And I think these are ingredients that I can see over and over. So this is episode 70, I think. And it's great to hear that this kind of conversations, because I'm a father myself. My little one is just 2, so I'm trying to understand what are the things I should do, what are the things I shouldn't do, right? And pushing is definitely something I should not do, and supporting and say, try out and let's discuss things are definitely things I should do. So thanks for that. Bringing you back to the situation, because you said at 12 you're kind of being hungry about some guidance, right? And a few years later, finishing high school and going to the US, it takes some guts. So it's even if there's also support and there's you can do whatever you would like. There's still not okay. I would like to do this. How are we gonna do this? And I'm gonna go there myself. And even though I have maybe relatives that have been flying around and I know a little bit of this, but going there on your own in a different country, you have not been grown up with is hard and it's scary. And so. Uh, what was it that you said, you know what, I can do it? Or so this is always something that I'm curious at.
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm generally a sometimes painfully independent person. I can be. So I think there was a bit of like, oh, like it'll be fine, right? And then obviously, like, especially when you're young, you don't kind of realize, oh, like what it actually means to be, a 15-hour flight away from family. But yeah, I mean, I think it it definitely was like an adjustment period and like a bit of an unknown, but like CMU was it's a great community of people. It's a lot of people from all over the world that care about the work, that care about the people around them. And so in this way, I never felt too out of place there. I remember the first couple months being kind of rough. My English wasn't like fluent back then. I would still have to like kind of think and translate stuff from Turkish to English in my head, but it it felt more like home in some ways.
So 2012, leaving Europe, leaving Istanbul and going to the US. How old are you?
18, I guess, 18. Yeah.
It is scary. It is. I can just imagine going to a different country at 18. And it's nice that you say that even though you're somewhere else, it seemed like you are in the place you wanted to be, surrounded by people who are much more like you in a sense. And so it's kind of coming back home without without neglecting or valuing or judging your home, right? But the sense of okay, now I can talk to more people who are interested in the stuff I'm interested in, who are thinking like I do and have the same ambition and goals maybe that I do, can be, as you said, a very formative, yeah,
Yeah,
experience.
yeah, exactly. I think being thrown into that and like thinking similar thoughts with other people, being pushed by other people, really kind of helps you find your own path. And yeah, I don't know, you end up realizing things about yourself when you're around people that you want to be around with, and you can talk about things in a way that you felt like you couldn't. It kind of unlocks parts in your brain. You're like, oh, like I didn't realize, but that I was like curious about this thing. So yeah, it was great. And then the other nice thing about CMU was there's tons of, I mean, now it's even crazier, but like even back then there was tons of great like undergraduate like research opportunity, and yeah, working with like graduate students and professors on these like crazy ideas. I remember at the time I was kind of feeling extremely grateful that like they would take in this like sophomore, the student, to like work on this like big thing that they're working on with them. And yeah, it like really helps you realize at a young age that you don't really have to be like kind of walled off from what you want to do by coursework or by the path you're on and everything. There's always plenty of options.
Now being a founder and having a team, how big is the team? if you don't mind me asking?
Yeah, we're 12 plus people.
So especially the plus part, I do. I mean, I work a lot with founders and startups. Here, there is also the opportunity creating this kind of workspace too, right? Not only from a perspective that there is not too much revenue and money to spend on. So not only from saving money, but also the part of having these kind of curious people, young, hungry, and giving them also the opportunity to, you know what, back then people were giving me the opportunity, and now I have the opportunity to build something kind of a lab, right? And we can work on stuff, we can build stuff and things together that are interesting and crazy and hard. So do you think this is something that you also enjoy, not only from an entrepreneurial point of view, but from a point of view where giving back is just as nice as people helping yourself?
Yeah, I think it's a huge part of this for me too. Evan and I have assembled a great team here. They're all like extremely passionate, extremely talented engineers, researchers, and yeah, I'm extremely grateful for the team that we built, to the point that it is kind of hard for me to like kind of detract myself from how the team is feeling at any given moment. And yeah, to go back to the company portion of it, is the company at the end of the day is made by the team, right? It's in a way this like organic entity, and like every person you bring into that team like changes the characteristics, the capabilities, what the company cares about in some way. And I think that a lot of founders forget this, that the team ends up like charting the path too. Not to say that like the company is like being pulled in these directions, but like it is like a very complex and organic thing that you create at the end of the day. And it is extremely important that you build this environment where everybody can do their best work without unproductively clashing with each other, but amplifying each other while working on the exact right problems to keep the company moving as fast as possible in the right direction. Like it's a crazy optimization problem, but especially when you're doing something like what we're doing, where it's robotics is extremely like wide, software, hardware, controls, ML, everything, and there's research to do, there's product work to do. So it's a ton of stuff to optimize for, but that's what I really love about it. And I realized that this was actually one of the central problems in building a company. Handling this optimization problem well was when I was at Apple, and I built my own team there of, again, like amazing researchers and engineers. And learned fairly quickly that you can build a team by ignoring them. Essentially, a lot of people do this. They just say, okay, like, come join my team. This is exactly what you're going to do. You can build a team by just hiring people and just letting them do what they want. But the optimal place to be is like you hire the team, you give them the exact right space, you give them the exact right direction, and then the team essentially becomes this like organic entity that like drives itself. And like when it works really well, everybody is happy, everybody is fulfilled, and the team as a whole is like moving as fast as it possibly can. And that's what we strive to achieve every day.
I mean, if you're thinking about, so this is the goal and this is the company, and every single piece you put here needs still to be in balance with with a goal, right? So if you add too much, if you add too little, and this is not one piece, right? It's made out of a lot of pieces, every single team member, right? So it's very hard to keep that balance because no one can be too big, but not too light either, right? And adding a team member needs to be very well calculated to keep the goals because you're building upon the foundation. I need to do this and that first, and then I need to do hardware, and then, as you said, the different parts of the goal as well. So I think it's great that you see this kind of. It's not only I need to build a great product and I need to find customers, which is hard enough, but while doing that and while pursuing that, we do need to assemble another thing, and that is not the product, that is the team that builds the product, right? And it's great that you see this in a very it's a buzzword also, but like in a very holistic way, in a big picture way, and understanding that these things are very much related. It's not okay. I have a great engineer here, and he can work on things. Yeah, but he needs to function in that ecosystem, in that organic thing that is growing. And if you're not taking care of that one, then it can break very easily. Thanks for that insight. Now, giving you a bit more space for what you guys are doing today and how this came together. Maybe so, two steps back to go one step further. How did you decide it? You know what you said. You and your colleague, Evan, you've been working together at Apple, and then there. I don't know. Was there a moment, or just like continuous talks going on, and then finally making that step out of the Apple, and then pursuing your own goals?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's like maybe like two moments to talk about, which is one is like kind of deciding to leave and like figure out our own path. And that portion I talked about, we basically figured that this was it was the right time for us to like kind of do something ourselves. And separately, I mean, this is easy to say, like home robotics has been like an obsession of mine and Evan's for a long time. It's an obsession for a lot of people, right? And over the years, I've thought about this over and over and over again as a kid, in college. It never felt like it was the right time. It never felt like I had like the exact right idea, like this could work, this could make a great product, like this would fit in my home, I would want it in my home. And then I remember I usually, like when I'm dealing with like crazy ideas or thoughts, it really helps to write them down. So I usually have this like notebook that I kind of give myself the freedom to, like, even if it's just crap, just write it and draw whatever. And I remember one day I was going back to this home robotics thing and really started thinking about like where the technology is currently, where it's going, where we can get it to go. And at the same time, like sitting on my couch, what the robot that I want to see in my home looks like. What can it do? What does it stow away like? How much does it weigh? Does it move close to me? Like all these things. And I basically drew a bunch of things. I iterated on a lot of different ideas, and ended up like drawing what is like Isaac is the robot that we're building. Ended up drawing like the first version of what like Isaac would kind of look like. And yeah, Evan and I were talking about it, and we're like, okay, yeah, like this is a very like hard thing to do, but it feels like the right thing to do. There is a lot of value to be added to people's homes today, a lot of time to be saved, a lot of people we can help right now. If we can like focus on this like practical approach to build this like product at the end of the day, and like bring all this research out from the lab and into people's homes as soon as possible. I don't know an exact date for that, but sometime last year.
You said something that I hope people listening to this, not only for the interesting path of a founder of a company, but also for some lessons to be learned. And the very simple step, and I mean, somebody can neglect it very easily, but sitting down and writing out the thoughts is something that is teaching you and humbling you very fast. Because you think, oh yeah, it's very clear. Yeah, because in your mind there's a lot of context, there's a lot of connections, and then there's a lot of, oh yeah, I know this belongs to that. And but in reality, if you're sitting down and trying to display that, trying to document that, then you see a lot of blind spots. You see a lot of gibberish. And so every time I talked to a founder and said, I hear you blabbering and you're very enthusiastic about your idea, but sit down, write it to me and send it back to me, and then you will see, not only to me, do it for yourself, right? That you see there is some things you haven't thought about yet, and some things you haven't figured out yet. So and as the physical world, you need to execute, you need to translate. That bridge is not complete. And if you're talking to a customer, he will humble you very easily because there will be some questions you haven't grasped yet, you haven't seen yet, that you are missing them, right? So thanks for that, because I think the process how you went through is like textbook, and I think people can definitely learn from that. And I'm happy that you took us with us. So what is the next step then? Having an idea, writing it out, discussing it, iterating, but then. Not spending too much time on that, but like shipping. So how did that came to reality?
Yeah. Yeah. So basically, at this point, we were just in our living room, and it was just us, right? And we joined Y Combinator, right? Because we really wanted to move fast, and we really enjoyed our interview there, and it. Y Combinator helped us a lot, especially,
Wait a second. You say this so casually. Yeah, we joined them. It's, I think the last episode has someone we talked about this. The acceptance rate is crazy. It's like how many people are applying and how many people are getting into the program is off the charts, right? It's so. I think I said this in the last episode. It's if you're applying to an Ivy League. It's almost nothing against that. So please, can you not just say, yeah, we joined them and it was a nice program to join. It must have been very hard to get in there, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's an extremely selective program, and we were very lucky to be part of it. And I'm really glad that they kind of like saw what we saw too at the end of the day. And kind of took us into the batch, and we benefited a lot from those 10 weeks. And basically, what we did was you have 10 weeks, the Y Combinator batch, and we essentially just got to like a first prototype of this robot. Built it from scratch in my living room, collected a ton of data ourselves, teleoperated the robot, iterated on different versions, and ended up like basically training the first model that would like fold t-shirts with this robot. And yeah, that, being in prototyping and research for a while, seeing that process and doing it in your home is extremely important too, and not just in an office, because you get to wake up, get your coffee, and go to the living room to the first prototype you built and think like, oh, this is not what I want to see in the morning. I wish it would like look like this or something. And at the same time, you see the different ways it folds, the different ways it doesn't look at, the different ways it like bumps on the table and does this thing. So it really helped speed up our iteration process. And anyway, we speaking of demos, demos are great, but at the end of the day, videos, you can like kind of cherry pick. Everybody kind of talks about this all the time. So we decided to like take this to Y Combinator's demo day, which You know, it's for anybody that's like done robotics demos, it's kind of like a very hard thing, especially with something that you built in your living room. So we took it to demo day and had it like Vault t-shirts all night long. And yeah, that was, I guess, the first thing that we like kind of shipped, so to speak. But one of the, to like be more serious about it, one of the reasons that we basically said we want to like build these robots to be not just like a research prototype, but something that we ship to customers' homes this year is so that like we can, like our ideas and like what we're building can face reality, because without that, it's very easy to kick the can down the road like for years and years and years. And people don't realize it, but like the process of shipping actually is not just about shipping, it's about building too. You learn so much in that process about what your customers actually want, what you can actually ship versus what you can just build, but like you won't be able to ship. So we think that it's a very important driver for not just our company, but for the entire industry to like focus on like shipping things, not 5-10 years from now, but this year, next year, like whenever is like the reasonable time frame for what people are working on.
Another great lesson here, and you just said it, it's the shipping part. You're facing reality again, and in theory, oh yeah, and then there will be an order incoming, and then we put this thing together and we put it in a box and then we bring it to the postal office. Nope, there's a supply chain. Do you have all the stuff that you need? Every single tiny stuff that is necessary to assemble one of them? Do you have enough parts to assemble 5 of them, 50 of them? How do you ship 50? How do you even think about do you have enough boxes? How do you put them in the box? Right? How will people open the box? I mean, you've been in Apple, so I think there's enough documentation about this. There's a department that does nothing else than the opening experience of a box, right? And then you have it at home, and then you plug it in, and then you recharge it, and then it starts. What happens if it doesn't start, right? So there's 1 million thoughts that belong to that. And do you have a team that knows where all the things are, right? And so now the first time you are entering professionalism. So there's prototyping. You have, okay, I have my parts here, but yeah, now do this 50 times in a row. And do I have all the parts? Do I have, I need to order all the parts up front because it takes 3 weeks to ship them, where I store them. And so now there comes in a system that you do need to track those things, right? So there's the prototype production gap is massive. Is huge, right? So one of the things why big companies are having a hard time shipping new stuff is because of the history and all the older stuff that they need to have, right? If you're a car company and you're producing a car every, I don't know, 8 minutes or something, and the production line goes like bam, 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 bam. There is an entire ecosystem and first and second and third tier supplier that are helping you building this thing made out of 10,000 pieces, right? So I'm coming from manufacturing and producing large gas turbines, Siemens, and so this is made out of 10,000 pieces, right? And there's the casing that comes from China or India, and that takes 8 months or 13 months, and it's interesting. Thanks for saying this. And had you had help, or was it a lot of trial and error for you guys?
In building the robots that we have, yeah, I mean, it's we build, for all the reasons that you mentioned, we build our robots as much as possible in-house now. And yeah, like that actually we learn from trial and error quite a bit. And so those two things coupled together makes it like really important that we can build these robots in-house. Obviously, we source parts from different vendors and we assemble them here and have our own custom parts too. But prototyping speed and getting from the design of one iteration of the robot to another and the time it takes in between is extremely important, because if you make an error, but you need 6 months because you need to align the CM to make this new version, to make the thing, then it becomes, then it gets to a place where you don't want to make mistakes, because there's such a long lead time and cost to making that mistake. And that's what like prototyping, I guess, is called prototyping, and not like, it's like a very different word than building. But the earlier robots that we built with the mindset that like this specific joint configuration that we built for this earlier whatever version may not work. This is the best guess that we have right now, but we will test it as soon as possible. We'll build it, we'll assemble it, and we'll run our models on it in 1 week, and then let's see, and then let's quickly iterate on it. And that's kind of what the mindset that we embodied, and we've gone through many iterations of many different arms, bases, grippers over the past couple months. And yeah, we're basically running a regular like product development cycle on like fast forward, because we can, because we're all in here, we're all in this warehouse in San Francisco, and we can do all these things in tandem.
You just said that you're in the warehouse, and that you said earlier that one of the reasons you can have this kind of speed, and you want this kind of speed to be able to do a lot of things in-house. As I'm trying to look behind the technologies and behind the companies, and how they're being put together, how they're being built, you said that you were sitting together, you were iterating on ideas, and then you found something that you think was worth pursuing. But then there's and you were talking a little bit about the Y Combinator, but then there's the I need to incorporate a company. I need to find a space. I need to figure out what kind of space do I need, how big it needs to be, where should it be, right? And who will be the first team members? How do they get there? How do I support them to be with me? So can you take a few minutes and walk us through and tell me a little bit of this?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you listed a lot of like different challenges. Some of them are like kind of logistical. How do we incorporate? It's like how do we get the right people? And then, yeah, I mean, I guess is the question that you're asking like, how do you do all these different things together, and like how do you find like the right market at the same time? Yeah, I mean, it really helps that we kind of had like an idea of like where we wanted to go, right? We weren't in this place where we were saying we're going to build a robot, but we don't know what it's going to be for. We'll just build the tech and then focus on what it's going to be for later. Like we knew we wanted to build a robot for the home. We knew we wanted it to help with hard tasks and like go after the hard problem, and not a lot of the things that like folding laundry, for example, for the longest time people were avoiding, but everybody wants the robots to fold their laundry. And so we had this idea to kind of like help narrow down. And as far as like customers go, like, yeah, like what we want for ourselves right now, it is not always what the right kind of like customer base for you wants for their home. So we did a ton of reach out during YC and talking to people and understanding what's the big three that they want. And everybody says different things, right? There's obviously overlap, like folding laundry. I don't think I've talked to anybody that said, I don't want this thing to fold my laundry. But there's things that, for example, fall out of that. Some people really want the robots to cook their food because they don't care about the act of making food. They just don't want to do it. They see it as a hassle. Some people really do not want the robot to touch their food. They want to cook. It's like kind of their art. So we focused on the problems that was kind of like the overlap, and folding laundry and tidying up around the living room were the two big things that we kept hearing over and over and over again. And as far as building the team goes, um, people talk about this, but we picked a hard problem, right? We picked a hard problem. We didn't shy away from it, and it just happens to be a problem that a lot of people care about. And so, in hiring the team, even as like we were two people, and we're asking like these extremely talented, like passionate people to come join our team, we while we were interviewing people in our living room, we really did not find any difficulty there, because like the team we hired wanted to work on this problem.
Finding them. But finding them, and if there's a lot of then selecting them, that is hard.
It is hard, yeah. I remember, I remember one day, especially, I was in like back-to-back interviews from like 8 a.m. to like 7 p.m. or something, with like 30-minute breaks or something. And yeah, balancing that out with product development and making sure nothing else is slowing down is tough. But that's what it takes. So.
The building part, the building the company part, the building the product part. You're two founders. I talked to rarely single founders, but two founders, three founders. How do you divide things between the two of you?
I mean, Evan and I, we've known each other for a very long time, lived together for a very long time, and we're best friends. We're kind of in a fireworks. We're kind of in a mind melt at this point. That we make like high level decisions together. We're always aligned on the vision of the company and everything. I drive more of the product design and development. Evan is more focused on the consumer software and all these things. But at the end of the day, we're fairly mind melded.
The videos I saw a few weeks ago, or maybe not so long ago. So what's in it for you guys for this year? You said you're thinking about shipping this year to people's home. Some pilot projects going on already, I guess, to be able to ship a version that had a few iterations and a few feedback sessions. But yeah, we are now mid of June or end of June. What's in it?
Yeah, there's a ton. So as I said, we're iterating on the hardware, but at the same time, we're scaling up the fleet. We have the problem the problem we're working on to be able to ship is kind of like the two big prongs are hardware, and then the ML robot learning portion. And the nice part about both of them is both of them benefit from having active deployments and more robots, so that we can learn all the edge cases, but also collect tons of data to train our models on to do these tasks. And so we're right now scaling up our fleet, building more robots, deploying them in more locations. One of the big goals that we have is more and more people to be living with Isaac in their homes. And at the same time, like maturing the software stack that allows us to basically remotely teleoperate the Isaac from people's homes, even if they have like a spotty Wi-Fi connection. It's really not an easy thing to do, and so we've put a lot of time and effort into making sure that we have a really robust stack there. And yeah, without like going into too much detail of like what the next couple months entail, our kind of high level goal is like building as many of these robots as we can and deploy them into as many real homes as we can, as kind of like the pilot that you're mentioning. So, and yeah, we're making really good progress to increasing that number.
Where's the teleop happening?
Currently, we're remotely teleoperating things from San Francisco. The teleoperators are based in our warehouse currently.
Exciting times, especially if you see some companies out there promising humanoids walking in people's home at the end of the year. You're building just a very pragmatic solution, and you can see how hard that is already. So, people in the industry who are in the industry and working on those tough projects can having a different kind of view when you look at the demos that you see online and when you look at the announcements, revelations, and what will happen this year and next year, and having a different view on that, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot of really good work happening on humanoids and bipeds. Yeah, as you said, we're focused on like building robots that add value to people's lives in their homes as soon as possible, and really focusing on the tech and research that has to happen to get to that point. And a lot of that runs through getting a really good, safe, delightful mobile bimanual manipulator that can navigate your home well, which I think a lot of people kind of like jump to saying like that needs to be a biped, but like in our case, we're kind of really focused on like the core part of this problem, which is like manipulation and having like something mobile in your home that can manipulate household items delicately.
I mean, it's interesting time. There's a lot of people trying. Not everyone will succeed. I'm very happy that you said yes to this podcast and that you took us along. How to build this kind of company, how to build this kind of product. You said the phase is ongoing and now growing, the pilot scope, so to speak. And I hope, yeah, that you will be able to finish that. And there's a few projects I'm keeping an eye on. And I mean, the Bay Area is the spot to be, and the majority of projects coming out of there. So one last question here might be the competition part. Is that something you guys are so focused on, or are you within the community? Are you going to some meetups or some events? Do you talk to other founders? How's that?
Yeah, it's a good question. I mean, we try to remain as focused on building as possible. We do talk to other founders. I think it always helps to kind of like talk and not be like in a cave just building the thing all the time. That's part of the reason we took our robot to AI school, YC's AI school as well. But yeah, as far as like competition goes, yeah, we're just focused on building the best version of the product that we set out to build. And we're making really, really good progress. And when our competition puts out good demos too, we feel very happy that the field is moving forward, because I think everybody shares an excitement that like robots in the home and helping out with other human tasks is like getting closer and closer every day.
I wish you guys good luck and looking forward to see some updates from you guys, and say hi to your co-founder and to your team. And I say this to every single person that I have on my podcast. Whenever I have the opportunity to see you guys, I will definitely reach out.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, if you're ever in San Francisco, yeah, we'll definitely have you and like get you some coffee or something. Yeah, as they say in Turkish.
Nice. Yeah, thanks for that. I hope you can enjoy your night, even though, as we talked about a little bit before this, days are long, nights are short for a builder. My day starts, your ends, and yeah, I'm saying goodbye.
All right. Thank you for having me, Alir, and yeah, goodbye.
Take care.